Hi, in this tutorial we will have exercises related to iterator in Python, and in the next tutorials we will have additional 2 exercises related to itertools module in Python. In the previous exercise, we will cover 2 exercises here. The first one, we will have a list and we will design a block of codes that will iterate over this list but without using a for loop. So the question is, write a Python code that iterates over the above list without using for loop. Okay. Now what we will do now is to copy this list as if, and you can have the tuple or you can have a string or whatever you want to loop in. Okay, so the first thing is to build the iter object, and for example we can say looper, or this will be iter, which is a built-in. If you press enter, then you will have for loop. Okay, but when you use this, okay, then you will have this iter method. Okay, so if you recall this, okay, like this, and you press the enter, then for loop will be activated directly. Okay, now for this iter object, we will pass as an argument the list or the iterator or the iterable object, which is here the list. Okay, now I created this object, and if I want to print this object, it will be nothing but the memory address, okay, that holds this object. Now I want to iterate, okay, till the last item, okay, instead of printing, for example, print next, okay, we covered this print next, and I want to print the next of this looper. We will have Mohammed, for example, printed here. I don't need to use next in this example. Or in this form, I want to use or wrap this into exception handling mechanism. So you go back to exception handling tutorials to learn more about what I mean. So if I will use this next without wrapping this to exception handling, after recalling, okay, the 5 next that is associated with each one, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now I can print all list items using next. Okay, so I iterate. So by this way, for loop like is designed. Okay, now if I will print another next, so the number here is 5. I need 5 lines. Okay, but if I add another one, then I will have error, which is a stop iteration error, and we need to handle this with an exception handling and reducing the number of print next of the iterable object. So what can I do? I can wrap this into a while loop to have an infinite loop till reaching the exception handling. Okay, so how to wrap my code using exception handling? I use a try, then I want to print the next of the looper, which is the iterable object now that is casted this list. So each time, okay, so we have an infinite loop, and we will print this for an infinite number of period. So let us also import here time, just to add some like delay and keep it more fancy. I want the time go to sleep to suspend the execution for some short period. Now I will go inside the for loop, and my code will be executed for an infinite loop. I will recall this, and I will recall this, till reaching the error, which is the stop iteration. To handle this error, I want to go back to the same alignment with a try and use except, and I want to copy this stop iteration as it and place it here. Okay, if you don't place it here, if you don't need to copy this and you remember this, just type capital S and it will bring to you stop iteration. then you can see, for example, or you can print like list items has been reached. Okay, and yeah, by this way. And once the this print statement is executed, I want to break also the while loop. I do not need to stay inside the while loop. Okay, so I can use a break. I execute the code now. I print Muhammad, Ali, Tony, and then I forward, and I will print this. Okay, instead of this, I can keep this empty. Just if you want to keep this empty, this we reach stop iteration. We printed nothing. Okay, and now we break out from the while loop. Okay, so this is the simple or the simplest implementation of this requirement. Given this list, we need to iterate over this list, but without using for loop. And we followed the same footprint of iter, okay, or iterator in Python. We built iterator object and we casted this inside the while loop because we want to print all items, okay, to show them as what for loop does. And now I added this time sleeve to make this print, and we wait a little bit and then print this. Okay, so this is the whole implementation of this exercise. And now we want to go for the second exercises. Sorry, which I placed here, down here. Yeah, yes, I want to remove this. Now this is the question or the exercise by using the object-oriented programming. And I think we have enough tutorials related to object-oriented programming. Go back within this playlist and watch them from the first object-oriented programming tutorial to the last one. That's really very important. By using this object-oriented programming or behavioral, okay, not the data-oriented class, we want to design a small remote or TV remote controller for 3 channels. So suppose that I have a remote controller and I have one button. Okay, when I press this button, then it will go for the next channel. When I press for the next button, again on in the next button, then I will have another channel till reaching the last channel. Okay. So by using object-oriented programming, there are many different mechanisms to implement or to solve this exercise, but I need you to implement using object-oriented programming, okay, and iterator concept in Python. So the first thing is to have a class, and we learned from object-oriented programming that we give a class name, and the first letter should be capitalized. This is, for example, we have the remote controller class like this. I want this one. Okay, let us get this one here. I think control. Okay, let's now write our class. Okay, we have a class, and as what we did together, we use the first letter. We capitalize the first letter when we write the class. Okay, I will have remote controller. Okay, and in the constructor, I have nothing to add, but I will save. Okay, the channels. These channels it's randomly selected like NTV. I have CNN, I have like NBC, and then I need also index to shift, okay, the selection, and this index will be initiated by -1. Why I need this index? Because I want to compare each time I press next, I will increase this value, and if this value will equal to the length, here the length is the length is 3, the index is -1. I press the first next, then this index will become 0. I will press the second and the third, and this index will be 2. When I press to the fourth time, this will become 3. 3 is equal to the length of this list, and then I will break the execution. Okay, so to have this class work as an iterator, we need to define, okay, a special method which is iter. Okay, and as what we introduced in the tutorial, in the iterator tutorial, that I can return self only to have this body or this or the instance as an iterable object. Then I need to identify also the next method, and look at this method. We want to recall this index, okay, and we want to increase the value of the index by 1 plus equal 1. Okay, now if the length, okay, of what? Of self dot the channels, self dot the channels, and this length will equal let us to formulate this like this. Okay, if the self dot index, okay, which is this one, will equal to the length of self dot channel, meaning that if we increase this 4 times, because it's minus 1, it will become 3, and the 3 is equal to 3, then I will raise a message error. Okay, I will raise this message error like iterator object exceed the limit. Okay, then if not, then I want to use the index operator from self to the channel. I will use the index operator, and inside this index operator I will replace self dot index. Okay, this minus 1. Okay, this will when I recall the first next, this will become, okay, 0. 0 is not equal to 3, which is the length of this. Then I can return the self dot channel of 0, which will become here td. Then I increase to next till reaching this error. Okay, now I want to say the remote is nothing but an instance from the remote controller, and the remote iter, okay, will be iter, okay, which is iter from the remote controller. Look at this. What if the user will press next, okay, and next to this remote object, then I will print this one. I will have the iter non-iterator remote controller. Okay, this error has been printed here. I will have iter, which is the return solve. Then I will have net index. Oh, this here is the error, which should be next, not the index. Sorry for this. Okay, now I'm pretty sure the code will work. Now we have MVC, but if I will add another next, if I will add another next, then I will print C and N. If I will add another, then I will switch to MPC. And if I will add another one, then we will have stop iteration error, which is type error. And I have the same message that raised here, iterator object exceeding the limit, and the limit should be written well. And now everything implemented well. That's for this exercise. We covered for iterator in Python 2 exercises. The first one, we loop through an iterable object without using for loop, and in the next one, which is this one, we implemented like a simple remote controller that will switch between channels. Yeah, in the next tutorials we will give another exercises related to iter tools in Python. So by this exercises we will be covering the whole iterator and iter tools in Python. Thank you.